Hello everyone and welcome to Harv's World for the next episode of the Baltic Sea. That's right, we're back in Scandinavia. Today we're going to be talking about Sweden. A very interesting place. Been learning some interesting stuff about Sweden. It's actually very cool. You're going to like this. But first, I needed to come up with a reasonably decent solution to start cleaning up around here because, man, this equipment's getting filthy. I know some of you are really anal retentive about keeping everything as clean as possible. I'm not that concerned because the minute I drive this anywhere, it's going to start getting dirty again, and by the end of the day, it's going to be filthy. But it even has gotten to a point where I can't hardly stand it anymore. So, I have picked up a garden hose, and my first task of the day is getting all this junk cleaned up because well, it's out of control. It's completely out of control, and I am going to have to spend a little time here taking care of business. At least the garden hose has a good reach on it, so I don't have to worry about bringing everything right to it necessarily. Come on. So, Sweden is a very interesting place, as I have been finding out, especially its capital. The capital of Sweden is Stockholm, and we will be talking quite a bit about Stockholm because it's a very interesting place. One of the first little tidbits that I will share with you is that it's kind of made up of a bunch of little islands, at least in part. It's very island. Almost like Venice in Italy. In fact, one of the nicknames of Stockholm is the Venice of the North. And that's just one of the interesting tidbits we'll learn about Sweden today. Let me finish cleaning up this equipment. I'm going to be adding a couple new pieces of equipment to the farm today, which you will see a little bit later. That should help our profitability and also sort our pigs out a little bit better. So our clover field is really small. It's not going to take very much to get this harvested up. Most of it should go, well, some of it will go to the pigs, the rest of it will store for later pig feed. I'm trying, and not doing it very successfully, to avoid the exact edge of the field because I don't want to mix grass with my clover because we know what that does to forage wagons at this point. It just makes the forage wagon miserable. Actually, it makes me miserable because it starts deleting my product, and that is not cool. Deleting my clover is not cool. I just have to be careful about how I manage it, that's all. You know, these big mowers against this little field, this is not going to take long at all. So while I'm cruising around here, picking up the clover I just mowed, I will share a couple interesting facts about the beautiful city of Stockholm, which is Sweden's capital. Stockholm, Sweden. Couple of interesting things. It's got an interesting nickname actually, which just alone makes it intriguing to me. It is known as the world's smallest big city, or sometimes the world's biggest small town. So apparently it's, got a very small town feel to it for being a capital city. That's intriguing to me. One of the things that they pride themselves on in Stockholm is the fact that they have no heavy industry, making the capital, Stockholm, one of the cleanest capital cities in the world. They are very, very proud of that fact. Now, something that leads to one of the things we're going to be talking a lot about, and we're getting there. I know some of you are anticipating it. We are going to get to the Vikings. We are going to get to the Vikings now. This is actually a little bit post-Viking, but in Stockholm, they have a church that was built in 1270. It's the Riddarholmen Church. Oh, and we are fully loaded with clover. Outstanding. The Riddarholmen Church, 1270. That's a really old church and stuff. Yeah, call me the biggest dork on the planet. I'm okay with that, but I am fascinated by the old buildings like that. I think it's amazing that they've stood the test of time. That, you know, somebody 900 years ago, almost 900 years ago, could have come in, built up a church like that, and done it well enough. Can you imagine any of our buildings still standing in 900 years? Anything we're building today, I almost can't conceive of. I actually can't conceive of it. I don't think we can do it. But, you know, these folks who didn't have any kind of technological advancements like we have managed to build a church, and it stood. It's going to stand for 1,000 years. It's not that far away. I don't know. That to me is very impressive. Very impressive indeed. So I just grabbed the last of the clover. There wasn't very much. And I didn't expect our piggies to take quite this much, but I didn't really look at them. So let's take a look at them today. We're up to 119. I'll be selling off a trailer load of them today. We're still not full of clover. And we're doing okay for canola. I've got sunflowers and canola both in the field. I haven't given them any straw yet. I'm not sure if I will. I might just keep them on slurry instead of making manure. For those of you who may not know, when it comes to animals that create manure, like pigs and cattle, you can either give them straw and they will make more manure and a little bit of slurry, or you cannot give them straw and they will just make slurry. There's no difference as far as, oh, I'm in my field. There's no difference as far as fertilizers go. If you're going to use that for fertilizer and you're not using something like precision farming, slurry or manure works equally well. It's just an issue of different pieces of equipment that you'll need. However, the one distinction is and for I don't really understand why. I mean, it's part of the mechanics of farm sim, but and maybe one of you can sort it out and explain it to me, because I really don't get it. You take a hit to productivity if you don't give them straw. That's the one thing to keep in mind. You will take a hit to your productivity if you don't give them straw. And this is the field of barley right here that we're going to be harvesting. And I'm in the process of moving equipment over right now. So you can see at this point I have done a couple of headland passes just to get this field opened up, because it's pretty tight on that back end over there, especially next to the sea. Not much room to maneuver, so I felt the need to open it up, and I split it because it's got this weird jag on one side. I'll take care of that later. So Sweden, Stockholm, man, I would love to go. It's on my bucket list now for sure, after digging into all of this. Something that kind of hits close to home since we're all having to deal with it these days. In 1710, Stockholm had a catastrophic plague that wiped out a third of their population. A third of their population, hundreds of thousands of people dead in 1 year. Not quite as bad. Well, it is about as bad, except we're talking worldwide with the garbage we're dealing with right now. But, and I hope everybody's staying safe. Very important. But yeah, that's some rough action. And of course, we have discussed already before the fact that the Nobel Prizes are awarded in Stockholm. Now, in Stockholm, there is a place known as the Globe Arena. And that building is the largest hemispherical building in the world. That makes it pretty darn big. You think? This is actually very interesting, at least to me. I'm a bit of an art lover, and I've had a few art classes. I'm not going to say I'm an artiste by any stretch of the imagination, but the subway in Stockholm is known as the world's largest art gallery, or the world's longest art gallery. Because apparently they have murals, paintings, sculptures, mosaics, all of that, all along the subway routes. And most of its stations are completely adorned with artwork. So that's pretty impressive and something to see. If I were in Stockholm, I would absolutely make a point of riding the subway just to be able to get a look at that. That would be very, very interesting. Now, as I said before, Stockholm has no heavy industry. Makes it one of the cleanest places in the world, but what that also means is that jobs are pretty limited. And so 85% of the jobs in Stockholm are in the service industry. So, you know, customer service, probably cooking, baking, waitressing, that kind of thing. The service industry in Stockholm is the big employer. You know, take that for what you will. I think that's kind of where a lot of places are going these days. Service or information are the two big employers in the world these days. Although agriculture still has its foot in the door on that one. Just not in Stockholm, apparently. Now, we had talked about how far north Norway is. Well, Sweden has the same issue. In fact, Stockholm, in June, it hardly ever gets dark. They have what's known as the midnight sun. And well, you know, have some blackout curtains or something if you're in Stockholm in June, because you're not going to have any nighttime. Now, this one is interesting, and it's cropped up a couple times in the research that I've done, but apparently Sweden has a love affair with crayfish. You know, crawdads, something that we pluck out of the rivers. They're famous in Cajun cuisine, in the States in particular. But I didn't realize that the Scandinavian countries would be interested in crawdads or even have an abundance of them. But every year they host crayfish parties. And they have boiled crayfish. It's very similar to some of the... Oh, I just jacked up that straw. Oh well, that's his problem, not mine. Sorry, Mr. Farmer. But yeah, these crayfish parties are very, very intriguing. Very interesting, just because I never would have associated that with a Scandinavian country, but yeah, they boil crawdads with potatoes and throw some dill in there, and apparently it's a grand old time in Sweden. Get together for the Swedish crawdad party, Swedish crayfish party. And of course, we would be completely remiss if we didn't talk about IKEA. IKEA was founded in Sweden. Everybody seems to love IKEA these days. Buy your furniture, put it together. It's reasonably priced, usually reasonably good quality, and may or may not last you a lifetime. I am still of an age where I appreciate the old handcrafted furnitures, the heavy woods and things like that, but I realize a lot of you out there, the new generations, are not as keen. Actually, that makes it good for me because people are less interested in antique heavy furniture, and that brings the prices down, so it's more affordable for me now. Thank you. Thank you, IKEA. At one point in the 1600s, Sweden decided to flex its muscles, decided to say, hello Scandinavia, hello world, look how big and bad Sweden is. And so they built a massive warship. A massive warship. It was known as the Vasa, V-A-S-A, the Vasa. This thing was massive, so massive in fact, that on its maiden voyage, it sailed out of the harbor and promptly sank less than 1 mile away. So, I think the Swedish shipbuilders needed to go back to the drawing board on that one. Now, this was an interesting little fact, at least as far as I'm concerned. The because it's one of those little cultural differences you're never quite, well, you're never really aware of. But apparently, it's a tradition in Stockholm for children to dress up as witches and go trick-or-treating. Well, that's no surprise, you might say. Everybody does that. Yes, that's true. At least a lot of people do. However, in Sweden, they do it on Easter. That's what I found particularly interesting. Come on, brother. Time to empty out. I don't know that we're going to get the best harvest off of this field. I was kind of counting on some extra cash coming out of this. But this is a good sized field, and it's really not producing that well. I probably should have checked it for the field quality before I decided to help this guy out, but it is what it is. But yeah, the kids in Sweden, they go trick-or-treating on Easter, not Halloween. I mean, maybe they do it on Halloween too, I don't know. But although, to be fair, you know, in the States we have our Easter egg hunts and the Easter bunny and all of that. The kids get candy. It's kind of the same thing, sort of. A bit of a stretch, but it's almost the same thing. Now, if you're one of those people who really enjoys the cold, and I would think you really need to enjoy the cold here. The first ice hotel, a hotel built completely out of ice, was built in Sweden. I know there are a few others out there at this point, but the very first one ever built was built in Sweden. Now, I'm not sure what the obsession with that would be, because frankly, it's not something that would turn my crank necessarily. But, you know, I understand. It would be something unique and interesting to try once and say you did it. Maybe that's the whole point. But I'm sure there are people out there who go, that's the greatest thing ever. I'm going to go back every year. And if that's your thing, be my guest. I don't like being cold. I don't like being cold at all. I don't know about you guys, but cold is not one of my favorite things to be. That was built in a village, or near the village of, and I'm going to butcher this, so I apologize, Sweden. Jukkasjärvi. Jukkasjärvi, Jukkasjärvi, Jukkasj umlaut RVI. Jukkasjärvi, Jukkasjärvi. I don't know. My apologies, Sweden. I just butchered your village name, but it was for a good cause. Okay, last of the barley. That's it. That's all, no more. This whole field is done. And I hope it's going to be like 500 liters or something left in this thing. No, we got it all. Very good. Very nice indeed. So, now I need to deliver this to the port. The Hafen. Hafen? Haven? Heffen? Hefewiesen? Hafen. That's what it's called. I don't make the rules, I just follow them. A little bit easier to drive this way, I think. Somebody asked me at one point what those things are on top of that rock and that we just passed. I will be honest, I have no idea. No clue what that is. Some kind of electrical do-jobber, doohickey. So getting this barley in has taken several hours, and now our sunflowers, well, one part of the field is ready and the other part is in its final growth stage. I think I'm just going to wait. Because, man, when the soybeans did that, it was kind of a major hassle, I have to be honest. It was, you know, it was like a full day before the second part of that soybean field was ready. And I don't really want to deal with that again. So I'm just going to let those sunflowers go. The Hafen down here also has the best price for us for barley, so there's going to be no problem with me just tipping this whole trailer in. We'll see exactly how much leftover barley we have and how much money that's going to bring in for Nico. And the easiest way to do this is to swing around the back of the building. At least from what I've discovered. Yep. Just like so. And then we can shoot right back out and head back to the farm. And I've got some new equipment that I want to put in place. Alright, let's do this. And we had just over 50,000 liters. I don't know what it's going to take to fulfill his contract. Or how much is going to be left over. Looks like about 15,000 liters left over. We're going to make a little bit. $5 grand. So, not a lot, but if we go collect from him, 5,372 euros. I'll take it. Back to the farm. Okay, so I went ahead and grabbed the pig trailer, the animal trailer, just because I got a call from the guys over at the meat plant. They've got a load of pork chops ready for me to come over and pick up. I'm not going to do that just yet. But I figure if I got to go over there anyway, I'll haul some pigs. We're well over 100 at this point. I think I said at one point I wanted to stick with 80. But we're moving up enough now, and our pig food is sorted out well enough that I think we'll be good to go with 100. And we'll keep inching those up to get higher and higher production. So, yeah, I should be able to haul just about one trailer load and still keep 100. Anyway, potatoes. The last of the pig feed sorted out. So, the first bit of kit I want to place, and I'm doing this back here because this is the only place I've got any kind of open room. And this is going to be about $18,000. This is a potato washer. And what this will do is improve the quality of our potatoes so that we can get more money out of them. I'm trying to decide what's the best spot to put this, because I've got one more piece to place also. I think that might do. Let me bring it down this way just a little bit because I don't want to run out of room. Okay, there we go. The proverbial potato washer. Now there's another bit of kit that I want to place. This is the potato sorter. And what this is going to do for us is it's going to sort premium potatoes from lower quality potatoes. So we'll know what potatoes are best to use for pig feed and which potatoes are best to sell. And again, I don't know exactly how much room this is going to take up or how much space I'm going to need to get into it, so I don't want to get it too close together. We're going to try right about there. So potato washer, potato sorter. Get our washed potatoes, put them into the sorter, and hopefully we will end up with some decent sellable potatoes and some additional pig feed. So there we go. Really interested to see how all this functions. I really expected that to be bigger. And I'll be honest, I have not used these before, so I don't know what or how this is going to operate. We're going to find out though. Let me grab some pigs. Let's go make some pork chops. Okay, I don't know if they can even take all these pigs or not, because they're not done processing the pigs that we brought them initially. They've still got a bunch of pigs in there. I guess we'll find out. Yeah, it looks like they'll only take 6. So we'll sell 12 of these. So that means they've only gone through 6 pigs since last we were here. Alright, little piggies. I won't be gone much more than an hour. You'll be fine. I'll make sure you're parked in the shade over here. There you go. You'll be nice and cozy right there. Okay. And oh yeah, the beat up old truck. That's a pretty good load of pork chops on there though. And the best price that we're going to get for these is at the Hafen again. Swing around there, Harv. Swing around. There we go. Back to Hafengruben. So a couple other interesting little tidbits of information I found out about Sweden. Oh, one, we can't forget Swedish meatballs. Swedish meatballs are a big, big deal in jolly old Sweden. And who doesn't love a good meatball and gravy? They serve it with lingonberry jam apparently on the side. Personally never had them that way, but yeah, Swedish meatballs are delicious. Another thing, Stockholm has in a crazy amount of museums apparently. They've got about 100 museums in Stockholm. They apparently love their museums there, which is, you know, good for them. Alright, let's see what we're going to get for these bloody pork chops. Sell like the wind. They sold like the wind, except for 2 pallets. 22 grand off of these pork chops. Let's see if I can get these pallets to shift enough to unload. Or let's just do this. Nah, even that. Nope, there they go. 27 grand, 28 pretty much. Very, very nice. Very nice indeed. Thank you. So we are up nicely on the day. Our pigs, and I've still got a dozen pigs over there to sell. Okay, the last of our profits for today is sitting back here. We're going to go sell some feeder pigs to the feed lot. We'll have made a nice little chunk of change today. And then I'm really interested to see what happens with those potatoes and the new potato equipment. I mean, we're up on the day, and I spent 20 grand on potato equipment. We'll see how that all sorts itself out. We'll see how that all sorts itself out. Okay. A dozen piggies to move. Oh, no, wrong direction. Another 10 grand. 10,800. Outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. We're moving up in the world, ladies and gentlemen. But I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Baltic Sea. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. I very much appreciate you coming along for the ride. And until next time, take care.